Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're plunging into a really dynamic and, well, rapidly expanding sector, the global HR consulting service market.
That's right.
We're going to navigate some fascinating official data, looking at its journey from 2021 through 2025, and then projecting all the way out to 2033.
Yeah, the idea is to understand its massive growth and, what the future might hold.
Exactly.
And our source for this is a detailed market research report. It really breaks down the numbers for this pretty significant market.
So our objective for you, the listener.
Well, basically, we want to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, help you quickly grasp where this powerful industry is heading, and crucially, why it matters so much right now.
Consider this your shortcut to being really well informed on a critical global business trend. You'll get the scale of its growth, but maybe more importantly, the often surprising and complex drivers behind it all. Shall we get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this then, globally. I mean, the HR consulting service market is absolutely massive, and it's growing fast.
It really is. We're talking over $72 billion back in 2021. That's $72.509 billion to be precise.
72.5 billion. Wow. And by 2025?
By 2025, it's projected to hit nearly $97 billion, so $96.7 billion.
Okay, strong growth already. But the 2033 number is the real eye-opener, isn't it?
It absolutely is. By 2033, this market is expected to more than double its 2021 value. It's projected to soar past $170 billion.
The exact figure.
$171.988 billion.
Incredible. More than double.
Yeah, and that represents a strong compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of about 7.5%. 7.463% technically.
Right, and for anyone listening, that CAGR, that compound annual growth rate, it basically means steady compounding growth year after year. It shows the market's really consistently healthy.
Exactly. And what's fascinating here, this growth isn't just about bigger numbers appearing on a spreadsheet. It reflects a fundamental global shift towards using outsourced HR services.
So companies are hiring external experts more often.
Increasingly, yes. For everything from, strategic workforce planning and talent acquisition, right through to navigating complex compliance rules or even designing employee well-being programs.
Why the big shift, though?
It's driven by organizations just having to constantly adapt. Think about it. New regulations are popping up all the time.
Like GDPR, perhaps?
Precisely. Or ethical questions around using AI in hiring. It creates these complex legal landscapes that, frankly, many in-house HR teams just aren't equipped to handle alone.
Okay.
And then there's the sheer pace of digital transformation. Companies need specialist consultants to help them find and develop talent for roles that, didn't even exist 5 years ago.
So this external expertise, it's becoming less of a nice to have and more of a necessity.
Absolutely. It's essential
Right.
for navigating these shifting sands.
Right. So here's where it gets really interesting for me. Let's dive into the regional breakdown. Which part of the world is really leading this charge?
Okay, well, that would definitely be the Asia-Pacific region. It's surging ahead.
How much so?
Well, it grew from about $20.8 billion in 2021.
Okay.
And it's projected to hit an incredible $54 billion by 2033. That's $54.0004 billion.
Wow, nearly tripling.
And this region, APAC, it boasts the highest regional CAGR of all. We're talking over 8%, 8.282%.
That is astounding. So beyond just the high growth rate, what's actually driving that demand in Asia Pacific? Is it workforce scale, new industries, or?
It's really a combination of factors. You've got rapid economic expansion happening in many APAC nations,
Right.
plus these massive, very diverse talent pools. And as these economies mature and, integrate more globally, their businesses face more complex HR challenges.
Such as?
Oh, everything from attracting highly specialized tech talent in hubs like Singapore, Bangalore, to managing huge blue-collar workforces across countries with very different regulations.
Makes sense. Any specific countries standing out within APAC?
Definitely. China's showing very strong growth. It starts at just under $6 billion in 2021, $5.972 billion, and it's projected to hit almost $16 billion by 2033. That's $15.85 billion, with a CAGR around 8.5%, 8.491 actually.
Still very strong.
Very strong. But the real standout perhaps is India.
India, tell me more.
India is on track to nearly triple its market size. It goes from about $3 billion in 2021, $3.017 billion, to a projected $8.587 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That gives it one of the highest country CGRs globally for HR consulting,
Yeah.
just over 9%, 9.119%. Really outstanding potential there.
Incredible. Any others in APAC?
Yeah, quick mentions for Singapore, also very high growth, 8.572% CAGR, and the broader Southeast Asia region, which is collectively growing at nearly 9% CAGR, 8.936%.
So APAC is clearly the growth engine, but let's shift focus. What about North America? It's a much more established, mature market, right?
It is, yes, a very significant market.
Is its growth driven by similar things, or are there different dynamics at play?
Well, North America saw its market valued at around $26 billion in 2021. That's $25.958 billion.
Okay.
And it's projected to reach over $58 billion by 2033, 58.304 billion to be exact. That's a solid CAGR, just under 7%, 6.978%.
Still very respectable growth for a mature market.
Absolutely. The drivers here, well, they're still related to technology and regulation, like elsewhere. But perhaps there's a greater emphasis on really specialized, high-value consulting.
Right. And who are the major players driving that within North America?
So surprised, the United States dominates. It contributed over $21.5 billion back in 2021.
The lion's share.
Definitely. And it's projected to reach almost $48 billion by 2033, $47.71 billion. The U.S. growth is fueled by this constant need for deep expertise in areas like, say, executive search, handling the HR side of mergers and acquisitions, and navigating really complex U.S. labor laws. Its CAGR is 6.859%.
Makes sense. What about Canada and Mexico?
Canada also shows robust growth. It's projected to more than double its market by 2033, going from about $2.5 billion to over $6 billion. That's a 7.802% CAGR.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, and Mexico is a steady contributor too, also on track to more than double its market, from just under $2 billion to over $4.5 billion. That reflects ongoing economic development and, increasing foreign investment, needing HR support. Its CAGR is 7.169%.
Okay, interesting. Let's move across the Atlantic now. What's the picture looking like in Europe?
Europe's total revenue was around $16.5 billion in 2021. That's $16.532 billion.
And the projection?
It's expected to hit over $37 billion by 2033, $37.149 billion, growing at a CAGR of about 7%, 7.035% to be precise.
So similar overall growth to North America. Any unique European dynamics?
Well, European businesses often face this real patchwork of complex national labor laws across different countries that significantly drives demand for compliance and legal HR consulting.
I can imagine.
Plus, there's often a strong focus, perhaps more so than elsewhere sometimes, on workforce well-being and diversity initiatives, which pushes demand for related consulting services.
Right. Any notable European countries we should highlight in the data?
Germany shows strong performance. It's projected to more than double its market by 2033. Going from about $3.1 billion to almost $7.6 billion. That's a CAGR around 7.8%, 7.78%.
Very solid. What about the UK?
The UK also makes a significant contribution, again projected to more than double its market, from $2.3 billion to over $5.4 billion. That's a 7.378% CAGR. Some of that might be driven by post-Brexit adjustments in talent acquisition and compliance needs.
Interesting point. France. Russia.
France is also growing steadily. From $2.4 billion to over $5.1 billion, though its CAGR is a bit lower at 6.514%. Russia shows a more modest growth rate compared to its European counterparts, around 5.42% CAGR, going from about $0.8 billion to $1.6 billion. Reflects different economic and regulatory factors there.
Okay. And briefly, any others?
Yeah, the report also notes contributions from countries like Spain, Sweden, Denmark, and Switzerland, each with their own, respectable growth rates, generally in that 6-7% range.
Got it. All right, what about South America? That's another region the outline mentioned as showing significant expansion. What's the story there?
Indeed. South America's market goes from nearly $4 billion in 2021, $3.915 billion, to almost $10 billion by 2033. That's $9.669 billion.
And the growth rate?
It's expanding at a robust CAGR, just under 8%, 7.807%.
That's quite high, almost up there with APAC. What's driving that?
Often it's tied to things like economic reforms, increasing foreign investment flowing in, and also the formalization of economies. As businesses become more formalized, they suddenly face a whole raft of new HR challenges they need help with.
Right, moving from informal to formal structures. Who are the standouts there?
Brazil is the largest contributor by market size, projected to grow from about $1.5 billion to over $3.7 billion by 2033.
Okay.
But it's actually Argentina and Chile that really catch the eye with particularly high growth rates. Both have CAGRs exceeding 8%. Argentina's at 8.392% and Chile at 8.093%.
Why so high there?
Well, that countries are seeing significant shifts in their business landscapes. maybe modernizing faster, which demands more sophisticated HR strategies for attracting and keeping talent.
Very interesting. Okay, let's turn to the Middle East next. Another dynamic region. What's driving growth there?
The Middle East market is also growing quite strongly. It goes from around $3.2 billion in 2021, $3.263 billion, to nearly $8 billion by 2033. That's $7.941 billion,
And the CAGR.
achieving a TER of about 7.7%, 7.674%.
So what's the story behind that growth?
A lot of it is linked to these ambitious national development plans you see in the region.
Like Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030.
Exactly like that. These huge initiatives require massive talent acquisition drives, huge upskilling programs for the local workforce, and significant organizational restructuring, all needing HR consulting support.
Right. And who are the strong performers within the Middle East?
The UAE is particularly impressive. It boasts a CAGR over 8.3%, 8.322%, projected to grow from just over $500 million to nearly $1.5 billion by 2033.
Wow, that's punching above its weight.
It is. Saudi Arabia and Turkey also show strong performances, reflecting those large-scale economic transformations.
And the kind of consulting most in demand there.
Often it's very strategic stuff.
Sure.
Strategic workforce planning, talent development pipelines, and crucially, attracting specialized global talent needed for all these new industries and mega projects.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, finally, let's turn our attention to the African market. How is the HR consulting landscape evolving there?
Africa's market, while the smallest in absolute terms, is progressing steadily. It goes from just over $2 billion in 2021, $2.03 billion, to nearly $5 billion by 2033. That's $4.921 billion.
And the growth rate.
It's growing at a CAGR of almost 7%, 6.939%. So, while the total numbers are smaller, that percentage growth is still quite significant. It reflects the continent's emerging economic power.
Absolutely. Any key African contributors to mention, and maybe touch on unique HR challenges there?
South Africa leads the way. It's projected to grow from around $0.8 billion to over $2 billion by 2033, with the AGR over 7.5%, 7.555%.
Okay.
Nigeria is also a significant contributor, expected to grow from about $0.3 billion to nearly $0.8 billion.
And the challenges specific to Africa?
Often they revolve around things like skill gaps in the workforce,
Mm.
managing talent mobility effectively across very diverse economies and borders, and just building robust HR infrastructures from the ground up in rapidly developing sectors, like tech and finance, which are booming in places.
Right. Fundamental building blocks in many cases.
Exactly. So if we, try to connect all this back to the bigger picture.
Yeah, let's synthesize a bit.
The consistent theme, really, across every single one of these regions, North America, Europe, APAC, everywhere, it's these fundamental drivers pushing the expansion.
Which are?
It's that relentless pace of technological transformation, forcing companies to constantly redefine job roles and the skills they need. It's the ever-increasing regulatory demands, think data privacy, labor laws making compliance across borders a huge headache.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the absolutely critical need now for strategic workforce planning as companies grapple with new realities like hybrid work models or intense global competition for top talent.
So it's technology, regulation, and strategy.
Pretty much sums it up. The data really paints this compelling picture of consistent, significant growth across every continent. Each region has its own unique flavor of HR challenges and opportunities, but the underlying growth trend is universal.
So bringing it back to the listener, what does all this mean for you?
That's the key question.
Well, I think whether you're maybe navigating your own career choices, trying to understand broader market dynamics for investment or business strategy, or maybe you're just curious about where major industries are heading, this huge growth in HR consulting signals really significant opportunity.
And shifts.
And fundamental shifts, exactly, in the global business landscape. It tells us that expertise in human capital, in talent strategy, in organizational structure, it's becoming more valuable than ever before.
Right. It underlines that HR is moving, or has moved for many, from a purely administrative function to a truly strategic one in businesses worldwide.
Absolutely. So just to sum it all up quickly then, we've seen this vibrant global expansion of the HR consulting service market, incredible growth projected, more than doubling from 2021 to 2033.
A massive market getting much bigger.
And while that growth is happening everywhere, the real standout performances we saw were in Asia Pacific, South America, and the Middle East. They seem to be key drivers, fueled by their unique economic transformations and regulatory landscapes, really adding momentum to this exponential growth.
That covers it well. And, all this raises a pretty important question for you, the listener, to consider.
Go on.
Well, considering this massive global growth in outsourced HR consulting that we've just discussed, how might that fundamentally change the role of in-house HR departments within companies over the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Good question.
And maybe more importantly, what new skills or strategic thinking will be most valuable for HR professionals, whether they're in-house or consultants, to cultivate in this rapidly evolving landscape?
That's definitely something to think about. What does the future of the HR function itself look like?
Exactly. We'll leave you with that thought to mull over.
Welcome to the deep dive. We often talk about how the modern workplace is just constantly shifting, constantly evolving. Feels like there's something new every single day, doesn't it? Today, we're really going deep into one specific area, the global HR consulting service market. We're planning to unpack the key dynamics, the forces that are really shaping this vital sector right now. We want to understand how organizations are navigating everything, regulatory changes, talent challenges, the whole digital workforce revolution. And our sources for this deep dive, they're based on recent market research. So pretty comprehensive insights into drivers, restraints, and what's emerging. Our mission really is to distill how HR consultants are becoming central players in all of this.
Yeah, and it's really crucial stuff, not just for people in HR. I think if you're interested in business strategy or challenge, or even just where your own career might go, understanding this market is, well, it's pretty essential in today's environment. These shifts have ripple effects everywhere.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's dive right in then. What's really propelling companies to seek out HR consultants? I mean, what are the primary drivers pushing this growth we're seeing?
Well, okay, one of the probably the biggest catalysts, and honestly a constant headache for a lot of businesses,
Right.
is just the sheer complexity, the constant change in labor laws and regulations.
Right. That maze seems to get more tangled every year.
It really does. I mean, think about global companies, local rules. It's
Wow.
incredibly intricate. Our sources are showing that companies are increasingly relying on consultants specifically for that expertise, help interpreting and actually implementing legal updates. We're talking everything from employment contracts, workplace safety, um, discrimination, harassment policies, the whole gamut.
That makes total sense, especially if you're, say, a multinational company trying to operate across, what, dozens of different legal systems?
Exactly. It's a minefield for them.
So the consultants are kind of the navigators there, ensuring compliance, obviously. But you also mentioned something about promoting healthier workplaces.
Mm, that's right. It's not just about avoiding lawsuits, though that's definitely part of it. For these big global players, trying to manage all those different regulatory environments without specialist help is just risky. Consultants help tailor HR solutions. Yes, they reduce legal risk, but they also help foster environments where people feel safer, more secure, more productive. It's about building that solid, compliant foundation, so the business can focus on what it actually does.
Okay, so that's the regulatory piece, a huge driver. But beyond just keeping things legal, what about the people side? What's the second major driver, the one that maybe gets to the core of, well, the business itself?
Yeah, that's talent management. And it's absolutely central now. It's really become, well, non-negotiable. In this kind of hyper-competitive job market we're in, businesses get it, attracting, keeping, developing top talent.
Hmm.
It's not just nice to have. Our sources say it's basically existential for long-term success.
So it's moved beyond basic HR admin.
Definitely. We're seeing a clear shift away from what you might call transactional HR. The day-to-day paperwork, benefits admin, that sort of thing.
Right.
Companies are moving towards a much more strategic approach to their workforce.
Okay, so break that down a bit. Transactional versus strategic workforce planning.
Mhm.
Are we talking like the difference between just managing files and actually shaping the company's future skills?
Precisely that.
Yeah.
Consultants are helping companies view their human capital. I mean, the skills, knowledge, abilities of their people as a core competitive asset. They bring in deep expertise in advanced hiring strategies, better onboarding that actually helps people integrate, performance evaluation that drives real growth, sophisticated employee engagement initiatives, things like that. Basically, they help build teams that are resilient, efficient, and importantly, innovative. It's about turning talent into a real competitive edge.
Okay, so there's clearly a lot of momentum pushing the market forward. But it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the speed bumps? Are there significant challenges or restraints that these consulting firms are running into?
Oh, for sure. There are definitely restraints. One notable one is the fact that many large companies already have pretty strong in-house HR teams.
Right. big corporations, they've invested heavily in their own HR departments.
Exactly. So these large enterprises, they've got robust internal capabilities, and sometimes, naturally, they might hesitate to outsource. They feel like they have it covered internally.
Yeah, I can see that logic. If you've built a seasoned internal team, why pay for external help?
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
But what the research points to is the unique value that external consultants can bring even to those well-established teams. It's often not about replacing the internal team, but augmenting it, adding something extra.
Like a different perspective.
Exactly. A fresh, unbiased perspective. Plus, highly specialized insights, maybe for a unique or a really new challenge. And crucially, cross-industry experience. They see what's working elsewhere, innovative practices. They can bring in cutting-edge approaches that maybe even a top internal team hasn't encountered yet, especially for those, specific, tricky projects.
That makes a lot of sense, especially for those really novel challenges. Okay, so that's the large enterprise side. Now, what about the other end of the market? Smaller businesses, SMEs. Are they holding back for similar reasons, or is it a different set of issues limiting their use of HR consultants?
It's quite a different picture there. Another major limiting factor, and this is particularly true in developing markets, is simply the financial constraints that small and medium-sized enterprises face. Cost is a big one.
So, for many SMEs, HR consulting just feels like an extra expense, a non-essential.
Pretty much, yeah. They often view it as a non-essential expenditure, maybe even a luxury they can't really afford, so their approach tends to be more reactive.
Meaning they only call for help when something's already broken.
Yeah. Right. They'll tackle high turnover or recruitment gaps only when it becomes an immediate painful problem. They're generally not adopting that proactive, strategic approach to managing their people. You combine the perceived high costs with sometimes a limited understanding of the long-term ROI. What you get is slow adoption. They're often just focused on immediate operational needs, keeping the lights on, rather than investing in structured HR. And that naturally limits the growth for consultants in that SME segment.
Okay, that paints a really clear picture of the current pushes and pulls. Let's shift gears now and look ahead. What about the future? What new waves are consultants catching? What are the really exciting emerging trends shaping this space?
Well, the big one, unsurprisingly, is digital transformation. It's profoundly impacting HR consulting. We're seeing this huge integration of tech platforms. Think human resource information systems, HRAS, managing payroll, performance, AI-driven hiring tools that can sift through applications, cloud-based training. It's all becoming much more tech-enabled.
So consultants aren't just advising on people strategy anymore. They're becoming tech strategists for HR too. They need to understand the platforms.
Absolutely. A big part of their offering now involves these tech-forward services, helping companies streamline repetitive tasks, significantly improve their employee analytics, actually get usable data from their workforce, and enhance the whole employee lifecycle, really, from onboarding right through to performance tracking. Our sources talk about innovations like predictive hiring analytics trying to forecast who will succeed, and even things like chatbot-led employee engagement for instant support. It allows for much more scalable, real-time HR, which is crucial for traditional offices, but also for hybrid and remote setups.
That's fascinating. And it's interesting because while the tech is obviously huge, you also hear about a very strong human element in these emerging trends, right? It's not just about the digital side.
Yes, very much so. That's a great point. Running parallel to the tech trend, and equally significant, is the surging demand for DEI consulting, diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right, DEI has become such a major focus.
It really has. Organizations everywhere are making these really concerted, intentional efforts to build more inclusive cultures. And it's moved beyond just being a compliance thing, ticking a box. It's being driven by social accountability, sure, but also internal pressure from employees themselves. And increasingly, there's a recognition that DEI is actually a strategic imperative for the business.
So it's shifting from being seen as purely a social good to also being a driver of business performance.
Exactly right. And consultants are often the ones bringing the data to demonstrate that link. They're guiding companies through practical initiatives, things like inclusive hiring audits to see where bias might creep in, bias training that aims for genuine mindset shifts, not just awareness, and helping build DEI policies that really reflect the company's values and lead to measurable change. We're seeing this demand particularly strongly in global companies and also in sectors like tech, education, healthcare, where it's becoming clearer and clearer that a diverse workforce directly impacts innovation, attracting top talent, and ultimately the bottom line, its competitive advantage.
Wow. So when you pull all these threads together, The legal complexities, the digital wave, the talent focus, DEI. It's clear the HR consulting market is right at this really fascinating intersection.
It really is. It's right there where legal evolution, digital transformation, and core workforce strategy all meet. And while, yes, there are challenges caused for SMEs, the in-house teams, and large firms,
Hmm.
the fundamental value consultants offer in navigating that complexity, in optimizing talent, in embracing these inclusive, tech-driven HR approaches, that's what's driving consistent, strong demand.
It's a dynamic space. So, a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe ponder as you think about the future of work, how might this role of the HR consultant continue to evolve, not just for the giants, but maybe even for smaller businesses too, as technology keeps advancing and our social expectations keep shifting? Lots to think about there. We really appreciate you joining us for this deep dive today.